Leaders are readers. Leaders are readers. You're a leader, right? You're a leader. You want people to follow you. If you think you're a leader and you turn around and you don't see anyone following you, you're not a very good leader, don't you think? Well, listen, if you were anything like me, you call yourself a leader and you looked around and you didn't have anyone following you and you wondered, well, what the heck am I doing wrong? I'm a leader. I own a business. I have people coming to me and paying me for my services, and why am I still struggling? Why does no one want to follow me? Well, are you really being a leader? Are you really leading people, or are you just using them for your benefit? That's how I was. I'm not gonna lie. I was the same way. I was using people for my benefit. I was using people to get money so I can go out and live large. So I can go out and buy the cars and the houses and the trips and all of that. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. That's where I was. It wasn't until I had an awakening and I learned that, if you call yourself a leader but no one's following you, well, are you really a leader? Or are you just a pretender? So if you find yourself struggling and your staff's not really following you and you're not really following yourself, what does that mean? That means you may have goals or dreams and you set a target and you don't lead yourself to that target. So what kind of leader are you? How can you go from being a so-called leader to a real leader and be the kind of person that someone wants to hitch their wagon to you? How do you do that? One of the things you could do is like what I did. Wasn't until I started getting into following people, following mentors like Jim Rome and others, Tony Robbins and others, Myron Golden, things like that. And, I speak about those guys often. But I developed a reading habit. I started reading books. You can see all the books in the back that I've read, and let me show you some of the books that I've read in the past. This is not to impress you, just to show you that, in order to kind of get out of the situation, if you're in one, if you're struggling financially in your business or your life, you might want to develop a reading habit. Pick up some books and start reading them. Some of the books that you might want to read is some of these books. Like, check it out. Think and Grow Rich. You've heard about that book, and you've heard about this book for the man himself, Robert Kiyosaki. I know you heard of Og Mandino. Og Mandino was drunk and homeless, pretty much. Look at some of the books he's written. These are just an example. I'm reading one now called The Greatest Salesman in the World. Fantastic book. These books are old. They've been around for a while, but they're classics. So what I want you to do, what I'd like for you to do is, if you're interested, go pick up these books. Now, I'm not selling any of these books. I don't get any royalties from these books at all. I'm just telling you what I've done. I was struggling in the past, and I had tax problems and IRS problems and staff problems, and almost lost my marriage, and almost had some other legal problems. But that's since behind me. And it wasn't until I began getting into a reading habit, got into these books, for example, and these are just some of the books I have. Oh, I got a whole ton of books up here. If my camera could pan, this is just some of the books here. I have a whole lot of books here. I read. You got to turn the TV off and turn off the NFL game and turn off NBA and forget about LeBron James and Luka Doncic. Those guys are, you paying to watch them instead of them paying to watch you. Get into a reading habit and develop money for your family, for yourself. Don't spend all your time and money playing. What's that stupid thing they always play? Football game. That football game where you I forgot what that thing is called, where you draft people and all that stuff, and they're uh, some kind. I don't even know what it's called. Show you how much I know about it. But the point of the matter is, if you're struggling financially, you don't have to be. One of the ways you can get out of that struggle is to develop a reading habit. Now, here's the most important part. Yeah, it's great to have all these books. You see all these books that I have back here? All these books that I have here? These are just some of the books. But I'm telling you, the more important thing, you have to do what they say. You just can't read them. You just can't say, oh, yeah, I read a book a day. Or like some guys get on the internet and say, oh, yeah, I speed read. I read a book a day. Hey, more power to you. I can't do that. And I'm sure I can. I just haven't developed proficiency in that. You can read one book a day. That's fantastic. But the more important thing, can you do what it says? It's one thing to say, "Oh yeah, I read this book by Augmentino de Choice, fantastic book. I can tell you all about it. What it says here, what it says here. What about this book, Return of the Rag Picker? I read these books, but can you tell me what it says, what you should do, and are you doing those things? That's how you get a change. It's one thing to read books, but you have to do what the book says. So I'm not here to berate you, or if you are doing those, if you speed reader, like to read books, fantastic. Make sure you do what they say, and you really see a change. Unless you just like reading. But if you really want to make a difference in your life, in your family's life, and your community's life, pick up some books, read them, do what they say, and you'll see a big difference in your life. I know I did. Because before, like I said, I made money. I had money and traveled and all the people, staff and patients. I had all of that stuff. But I didn't have a following. I didn't have anyone looking at me as an example of leadership because I was looking to use people instead of serving people. And it wasn't until I got into books like the Bible and some of the other books that I've read where I've learned that from reading, the secret to growing is to serve. The greatest, like the man upstairs says, the greatest among you, whoever wants to be great among you, they have to be the greatest servant. I didn't get that anywhere else but from reading. So there's a lot of things you can do to change your life. One of those is you can do one thing that you can do is read. And secondly, do what it says in those books. Don't just read them to say you've read them. Read them, and if you may have these books already. I have a ton of books here, and you know what I do? I'll read them again because it's funny how you read a book and you come back to it later and then you say, I didn't know that was in there. I read the book several times, and then I go back and say, where'd that come from? Is this a different edition of my book or whatever? But you'd be surprised. You know what happened? That's you changing. Your mind's changing. You're growing. You're becoming more aware of what's out there. So there's a whole adventure out there in books. So read them, do what they say, change your life, change your future. You'll be so glad you did. So that's what I have for today. Hey, listen, if you have any questions or comments, drop me a line. Let me know what you like or don't like. I can take the criticism. I can take the negative stuff. That's fine. That helps me to grow. So if you don't like me, don't like the way I look, don't like the way I smell, well, you can't smell me through YouTube. But if there's anything about me you don't like, wish I could change, just tell me. Hey man, I'm here for you. I've done this before. I'm trying to help you to live a better life because I've been where I've struggled and I don't want you to go through what I've done. So just trying to help in my little way. So any comments you have, put them in the comments section, and I'll see you next time. Okay. Hey, thanks a lot. See you later. Bye.